Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Dan Augusto. I am co-facilitator for this session here, along with Dr. Colin Fair. We are both faculty members in UAGC's Department of Behavioral Sciences. We are here with Dr. Newton Miller, who's going to describe academic accommodations in the spirit of culture of care. Dr. Miller serves as the program chair of the Education Studies and Teacher Preparation programs at UAGC. He's contributed to the education arena through his nationwide professional development sessions and keynote focusing on the educational success of at-potential populations through culturally responsive programming and instruction. So without further ado, take it away, Dr. Miller.
Well, thank you for the what do you call that? Introduction. I was going to say invitation. I don't know what was going on, but introduction. Welcome into this session. Listen, I did it again. I over-prepared with what we have to go, so we have a lot to cover in this amount of time. So if it's okay with you, we just gonna jump right in to what we have going on here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So I am going to check something just to make sure, just before we get started. Let me see, I want to get in presenter mode. All right, there we go. Oh, so this session, as we already said, is on the we're looking at accommodations, whether they are Bane or Boone. So what we mean by Bane or Boone is whether they are actually useful or not, for good or bad. So let's kind of move on a little bit here. Our agenda is as follows. We have a few things up. Are you seeing the PowerPoint slide or not?
Yep, we can see it, or I can see it.
Okay. So as we move on, there's 6 things we need to cover in the agenda, so I'm just gonna move a little faster. So if you don't know me by now, let me just go ahead and forewarn you, I'm super ADHD. I talk fast, I break all the rules of public speaking, so you gotta track with me. If you're not tracking with me, it's a good thing there's a recording, right? So here we go. As we kind of look at this today, we want to start out by talking about culture of care. So this slide I titled "Culture of Care is Everywhere" because I began to do some research on it, and I found that culture of care, it's not a new thing. It exists in some other universities. It's happening. It's live and well. Universities like Walden University, Oregon State University, Chamberlain University, Rice University, Berkeley. There's a new school. It's called The New School. It's in New York, and I want to check it out a little more. And one that you're familiar with, Western Governors University. So although they call it community of care instead of culture of care. So it exists and is live and well in a lot of different universities. And I could go through, as I have here on a sheet of paper, their I guess values or a portion of their mission statement, but we don't have time for that. But what I did was I pulled out the core principles in one word for all the other universities I found, and I listed them there on the side with our CARE acronym, communicate, advocate, respect, and empower. And what I wanted to do was to show you not just that it's everywhere, that this is something that's alive and well in higher ed. I want to try to get us in a mindset where we stop thinking of culture and care as a thing we pat ourselves on the back for, but to look at it more as a reasonable service, what we're supposed to do as educators. So what I did was I went ahead and I kind of lined it up. I made arrows to show alignment from core principles of other universities to core principles of our university, just to kind of let you see that we're in the mix. We're in the center, we're where we should be. So let's gear our heads as far as culture of care is concerned as our reasonable service, something that we should do. But I work on the academic side of things. So in order to deliver culture of care in our courses, the main way that we do that is through something called academic accommodations. So I don't know who's watching me today, who's here today, and if I had time, I would ask you to go ahead and put in the chat, what do you think accommodations are? And if you want to do that, you can do that. I have my chat open, I'll see it, I'll recognize it, and I'll give you a shout out as I see it. But what are academic accommodations, right? And I see some there. Dr. Julie Atkins, she says supports for success. Love it. Beautiful. I see Stephanie Heel said meeting the students' needs, right? So these are fabulous educators right there. Two people I'm trying to be like when I grow up. So, but if we look at accommodations, oh, and they're running in now. We have providing extra latitude for students when they need areas. Listen. I need to equip myself. Here you go. Here's an accommodation for me. Raising the box, right? Or Nikki McCann says, making sure that people understand. Great, fabulous. So we have equitable access. I love that. I love that, Dr. Nicole. So we have some super understanding and already kind of knowing some background knowledge of what accommodations are. So let's go ahead. What I did was I just gave it a roundabout definition, which grabs from both of yours, and I just call it a tool. And that word tool is important to me when we're talking about accommodations. A tool that levels the playing field for all individuals. And here's the deal. As academics, we look at accommodations as just academic accommodations. You know, it's born from the K-12 special education arena. So we kind of box ourselves in sometimes to see accommodations as academic, but we have to have a culture of care, global thinking to understand that accommodations are academic, they're social, and they're emotional. So they rise up in many different areas in the lives of the students that we serve. But what's the role of an accommodation? So I kind of anticipated that I would have talked too much in the first couple of slides. So I just went ahead and put there what I see as the role of academic accommodations. If there's something you think I left out, please feel free to put it in the chat so that everyone can glean from your knowledge as well. So I kind of see the role of academic accommodations as crucial in promoting that educational working with or not working with, they all have the opportunity to thrive academically, regardless of individual abilities, challenges they face in any arena, whether it's academic, behavioral, or socially or environmentally. So that's what accommodations are. So let's go back for a minute. We know what they know what they are. We know what their role is, and I see some great things going in the chat. I see them as scaffolding student success. Excellent job. And listen, we got the heavyweights in here today, Dr. Handy. All great things about accommodations. So where am I going? The premise of this talk, and I had to give you some background knowledge and make sure we're on the same page. The whole premise of this talk is that inclusivity without compromise, well, it leads to a universal access to mastery. If we can be inclusive without compromise, no presumptions, no bias, no prejudice, no preset expectations, if we can be inclusive of whoever comes in our classroom, not even knowing them, without compromise, then we have just given all of our students universal access to mastery. And when I say universal, I'm lining up with the whole UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, which we definitely don't have time to get in today, but I will say that Universal Design for Learning means that we design our systems so that learners who come in with whatever issue they have, whether it be academic, whether it be socioeconomic, whether it be cognitive, whether it be physical disability, a challenge or limitation or whatever it may be, we design our systems already anticipating what's needed for those individuals to be successful. So here's one way that we can design our systems for students to be successful. Some time ago, about 2016, and if you hear me talk, almost in every talk when I talk, I include something from that study in, because it's a great foundational study. We did a study with 1,300 men of color, where we were just looking for what do those successful men of color, 3.0 or above, 125% graduation rate, what do they do to remain successful in their academic programs? Well, we found out what they did, but we also found that they all had, about 96% of them had three common pillars of mind or thought that they operated on, that kept them motivated and intact and consistent. So what we decided as faculty was, here, let's look and see what can we do on our side of the fence to put things in place to keep our students operating in the zone of those 3 pillars of mind so that they can be more productive and in the zone of success. And we came up with these 8 to be great. So one, we already know, relaxed deadlines, right? So for instance, I give unlimited relaxed deadlines. I'll take something up to the last day of class and I don't penalize. That's my method. But I've had several conversations with students along the way about why their stuff is not in or whatever the case may be. Very rarely happens, but there's other folks in my program that don't do that. They have conversations with the students up front. They give a limited time. They do some penalty. Whatever the case may be, it's relaxed deadlines. Exemplars, we put examples of what an A paper or A project, an A presentation looks like. We put that right in the course. And a template so that they can go ahead and do their paper and not miss anything because that template is aligned to the rubric. And what does that do? That helps my at potential learners in particular, who remember school is not their culture. It's not their dominant culture. So they're walking in a place that's unfamiliar to them. That's what makes them at potential, right? And now here what I've done is I say, here, look, this is the expectation. This is what an A looks like. This is what success looks like. I'm not making them guess, I'm showing them. So now they can use their cultural capital, they can use their ingenuity, their creativity to make something even greater than what I've shown them. Then we have I, not F, incomplete, not fail. So listen, you're missing something. So here's my formative assessment, I'm gonna give it back to you. You have the option to go ahead and turn that back in again. If for instance, I don't accept papers that don't have section headings in it. I teach 2 courses at a time often, so I can have about 60 students. And I got 60 papers to read. I'm not going to try to guess in the paper where the student is talking about what aligns to the rubric. I need you to give me a heading. Just give me a heading. If you don't, I'll send it back to you with a note. And guess what? If you send something back in waypoint, it automatically gives it a 0. That gets the student's attention. So I have to tell the student, listen, the 0 doesn't stand. When you resubmit, I'll change your grade. I don't say if you have an option to. Nope, I say it emphatically with authority when you resubmit, because that's what you're going to do. Resubmit, I'll change your grade. So I, not F, that's teaching to mastery, giving chances to redo things. Access and availability. I suggest that faculty give students their cell phone number, their email, a way to contact them in the classroom. If you're not comfortable with giving your personal cell phone, then do Google Talks so they can type it to there and it'll text you from there. As far as you're concerned, you're still texting. But this way, your student doesn't feel like they're out in the ocean by themselves. You know, you're right there with them. And you don't have to respond right away. I mean, I might be in the Walmart line and respond. Sometimes I'm at church or I'm somewhere else. I'm sitting there watching one of the housewife shows with my wife because that's my sacrifice that I do. I don't like those shows, but I sacrifice that because that's my wife. So what it does is it gives me something to focus on that I like or that's more intentional. So access and availability is very important. These are things that are part of the culture of care so students can be successful. Course introduction and videos. So I'm going to go ahead and say, because if you guys know me, I say what I'm saying. Our current system of developing courses right now has sent out or said that course introductory videos are not effective. My research, my experience, I totally disagree with that. They've gotten that information because there were low views, from what I understand, on course intro videos. Well, that's because the video was boring. You have to make the video something the student wants to watch. You have to put yourself on their level. You have to code switch and say, listen, what we need you to do for week 1 is this, this, this. Now you might have a problem right here. This is how you can get over that problem. If you need me, if you need, contact me anytime you need me, as soon as you need me, as often as you need me, make it a great day. You know, something quick, something short, but something that aligns. I cannot tell you how many students contact me, text me, email me, say, I love the video. Thank you for putting it that way. I didn't understand what was being asked when I looked at the discussion or the assignment prompt. And I want you to remember, you're going to hear Dr. Beagle talk about this, Dr. Donna Beagle. Most of our students are from an oral culture, not a print culture. But the university is a print culture. So I don't even care if you put it in an interactive, you still have print involved. So what you want to do is you want to light up as many modalities as possible for those students, so that they feel comfortable. If not, then they feel kind of like on the outside. I'm not good at this, dipping their toe into the pool instead of jumping in. So those are some of the things that the course intro videos will do for you. A course at a glance table. A course at a glance table is really this 3 columns. You each week you say, listen, this is the title of the assignment or the assessment, whatever it is that I'm doing, and then you give a quick 1 or 2 bullet points. I don't know, create a 8-slide PowerPoint that shows the difference between formative and summative assessment, and then fill out this worksheet. So you can, I don't know, tell which one you like the best. And then you give an estimate of time. It's going to take you 120 minutes, but you have to note there, this is just an estimate. It may take some less, it may take some more. However, you want to bank at least this amount of time. So what does that do for our potential students and our students who have tons of things going on in their life? It lets them at a glance schedule their week, align things that they know they have happening in their life so that they don't feel overwhelmed. And that leads to greater success. Motivational quotes, videos, and testimonials speaks for itself. So one of the 3 pillars of mind, well, 2 of them actually, 3 pillars of mind that we found in that research from 2016, one of them was that those successful individuals, they were locked in on their goals. Whatever their goal was, they were going to move their life to meet the goal and not move the goal to meet their life. Then the other one was that they felt responsible for some people or for some things, and that's what motivated them to finish their path. So motivational quotes, videos, testimonials from students from past courses explaining or encouraging students from the recent sections to keep moving. What it does is it lights up those 2 pillars of mind. It lights them up so that they now can be aligned with their purpose or their goal for accomplishing the degree. It reminds them of that. It reminds them to stay motivated because someone else is counting on them. And then we have cohorts or groups. So I know when you hear groups in online settings, we say, oh, groups are a pain in the butt, man. Oh, one putz does all the work. How do we get together? All those things. And yes, those are part of the issue. But in our 21st century workforce, one of the top 5 things that employers are looking for is the ability to collaborate and in virtual spaces. So this is something we owe it to our students to put in there now, to make them uncomfortable now so they can be comfortable later. But I'm talking about cohorts and groups that are informal. What I'm saying is that encourage your students to work together. I don't care if it's an individual assignment. Encourage them to work together, to check each other, to share resources, whatever the case may be, even if it's an individual assignment. Of course, they're going to submit their own. What that does is it puts a system of accountability internally in the course itself. And it starts to grow an intrinsic value to be accountable, to accomplish, and to finish the goal that's set in front of them. It is the epitome of, it is the fertilizer for a growth mindset. So those are the 8 to be great techniques and methods that we want to put in place for you. I see the chat is moving. I don't have my glasses on, can't see what it is, but I see that they're moving. But here's what I want to do right now, because I'm way past where I need to be as far as time, but I want to talk to you about the research. I have some research going on right now, a UFP study, and I told you I talk fast, right? So you got to track with me, right? And basically with this research, it's the same name as this presentation. Basically, what we want to do is we want to see if creating that supportive environment where we build inclusivity directly into the course, and we get students in conversations about their future, what happens after this course. We want to see if supporting that creative environment gets students to actually focus on what comes after the course, or if the buck stops with the course. So follow me and I'll explain to you a little more what I mean. So here's some of the preliminary results for the research. We're not done yet, we're still capturing data, but right now in 3 Bachelor of Arts in Education study courses, they all, I should say, when they all implemented the 8 to be great techniques. I just told you about them. And on top of that, we're doing something we're calling accountability nudges. So those accountability nudges in these 3 courses, they're either emails or phone conversations with students whenever something is late, missing, or below par, missing pieces that are required in the rubric, partially done. And those email or phone conversations, they are done, they're about time management, and they're about work processes. We chose those 2 things there. So right now, what we have is a bank of 4 email or phone call templates that we use. So the instructors are given these templates and they can change them any way they want. We just gave the template so we can have a boundary of what the conversation entails, right? So they're just given out or sent out whenever there is late, missing, or under par work done. So here's kind of some of the results that we've seen so far. So out of the 3 classes, the top row shows the enrollment in the class, the number who passed after the end of the class was over, drops, A's, B's, and C's, D's, F's, and then incompletes. So not bad results there, not bad results, could be better, but not bad. So we like that. But here are preliminary results from those same intervention courses of the number of nudges. So remember the academic nudges, the accountability nudges were when students were missing, work was late, or there was parts of the work incomplete. Every part of the rubric was not filled in. So across week 1, you can see they were pretty low, 3, 1, and 2. Then they raised up, they went up in week 2, even with the nudges. So nudges were still taking place, and they kind of start to creep down in week 4, 5, and 6, right? So let's take a look at the average nudges in the non-intervention courses. So after the students from those 3 courses finished those, they went to another course. They had another course assignment. So that other course assignment, we didn't get all the professors to online to do the great to 8 to be great and everything, but we did ask them would they track nudge behavior. So we didn't even ask them to do the nudges, but if there was a time that they would send one, could they just put a tick mark by that student's name, and we gave them a list of students, and at the end of the course, they sent that information to us. So about 71.4% of the instructors responded, and here's how that was. There were 7 courses that the individuals from those 3 courses were dispersed into. 4 of the courses were within the major, and 3 were electives. So all of the major instructors responded, I guess because of the program chair, right? And 3 from the electives responded, and there was just 1 who did not. That's where the 71.4%. Those were still odds. So there were 51 students that we, were looking for information on. So what we did was we had them take the average. What I did was I took the average of all the nudge reports we got for the non-intervention courses, if you're still tracking with me. And you can see where it was 2, and then it went up again, week 2, 4, and then it started to slide back down. So if you look at it in a picture here, the thin lines were the intervention courses, the thick line is the non-intervention course. And here's what we saw. Although the frequency of nudges were shorter or less, the actual behavior stayed the same. We still have that hump that stayed the same. So I was glad to see that the incidence went down, the frequency, but the behavior didn't change, and that leaves room for a lot of discussion. So because the behavior or the causes of the behavior are exactly what we're addressing or what we're dealing with as instructors. So let's refocus for a second, because I went off for a minute and my time is long. So the goal here for every instructor is to ensure that learners not only succeed during this class, but they gain skills, confidence, they gain things so they can be successful beyond the course and into their career, into their field, so they can be productive citizens and contributing citizens in society. So just want to refocus there for a second, because what are we learning so far? We're learning that there's an interconnectedness between care, accommodation, and success. There's that interconnectedness between them. I got some notes here. Let me see if I can find them. I can't find them, so we're just going to go on. That interconnectedness there is what defines cultural care for us. We are giving students something so that we can see a return based on how we care, the accommodations we put in place, and the success that we're looking for them. So in order to do that, we have to look at our existing practices. We got to critically evaluate ourselves on a regular basis. It has to be an ongoing thing, something that's not foreign to us. But I want to warn you that this takes courage. You can't be a punk and critically evaluate your own practices, because I can guarantee you, if you're thorough and if you're integrous in doing it, you're going to see some things that could be better, you don't like, or whatever the case may be. And in order to attack those things or put yourself in a position that you can change your thinking, change your procedures, that means more work. So that means you can't be lazy either. So we talk about our existing practices, and we think we're putting the work in when we go to the professional development. No, the work happens after the professional development, when you have to be open and willing to make the changes that need to be changed. So how do we do that? I suggest you get an accountability partner. I have a couple accountability partners, one at the university, one not at the university, and whenever we talk, I try to talk with them once every 3 months, once a quarter. I calendar it so that we can get into almost a PLC style conversation. So what about rigor? How does rigor play? Because that was what I said the conversation was about. Well, if you implement inclusive strategies, then that assists in maintaining rigor. So here's the deal. You told me that accommodations were tools to get everyone on level. So if I give everyone a tool to get them on level or to be able to access mastery, now I don't have to worry myself with those minute things that are in the lower Bloom's level. I can focus on that higher Bloom's in the analysis, evaluation, and synthesis. I can push critical thinking and problem solving, because see, rigor, that's what it's about. It's about pushing critical thinking and problem solving. It's about helping students to be able to use the principles of the content that you're teaching and applying it to real life situations so that that's a synthesizing something so they can evaluate it, analyze it, and create this cycle of production in their lives and in every area of their lives. You see, rigor has nothing to do with procedural items. So APA format, whether it's turned in on time, the font, the color, they have nothing to do with rigor. Those are all procedural. I'm not saying that they're not needed, but they are not aligned within the definition or the identity, any implication that has to do with rigor. So what about rigor? You want to increase the rigor in your courses through cultural care or utilizing accommodations, use them. You want inclusive strategies to be alive in your course, right? So here's some tools for you. I don't know why I blanked this out, but here's some tools for you as we move on to help your cultural care deeds to persist. Because we don't want to do all this work. There was actually way back, probably 2014 or so, Dr. Julie Akins, we were in a conversation. I don't know if she remembers this or not, but we were talking about relaxed deadlines. We were experimenting it a long time ago. And one of the things that came up in the conversation was, well, they're going to expect the next instructor to do that. So will they have gained anything from you giving them that accommodation, or will you have made them dependent? So that's really the theme of this talk and the theme of this research. So here's some tools that you can use to help your cultural care deeds persist. And I'm gonna show you why. 8 to be great. We told you what it is. You wanna create those nudge templates, whether they're emails or text or whatever you're comfortable with. And then you wanna have some constructive nudge talks with your students. So not every student always picks up the phone for me or responds to my text or email. So when I create the email, the nudge template that I send them, sometimes I do it text and I just talk it, depending on what I can decipher from the student in the course. When I send that to them, I explain to them why I'm doing it. it's not about you just getting an A or whatever in this course. This is about your habits. This is about your culture. This is about what you're doing that is going to possibly cause you some issues in your next course and your next course after that. So if we can work on this right now. Now, some of you will say, wait a minute, that's uncomfortable for the student. How can you do that? Well, we're educators. That's what we do. We get students to operate in their zone of proximal development, but it's not just academic. It's socially, it's emotionally. We get them to operate in that zone of academic, zone of proximal development so that they're always growing. We're not making it too easy or making it too hard. We're right in that zone with them. So we're always pushing the limit. We're always pushing the limit. And I ask permission to, let me push the limit for you. Let me tell you if you don't do this. So that constructive nudge talk is very, very important and very, very valuable. And then here's the one thing that we need to do is track your accountability of the nudges. Track your accountability nudges. Are they working? Are you seeing differences? Are you getting pushback? Do I need to change my wording? Is my message being heard or not? Is my phrasing, am I missing the point? So as we track those things, we put ourselves in that higher bloom cycle where we do what? We synthesize, we evaluate, and we analyze. So as we kind of move on, I told you I'm giving you a lot. It seems like I'm all over the place. So let me try to sum this up, the beer can method. Let me try to sum this up and talk about some accommodations in the spirit of cultural care, whether they're Boon or Bane. And Boon means positive, pro, beneficial. Bane means con, not so beneficial. So let's look at what we have in the Boon column. We have, when we put accommodation packages in place in our courses, we know that it increases student success in the present course. Not just my research, but you go ahead and do any research and you're going to find that to be true, right? We also know that accommodation packages, it creates like an on-demand system where students can reach in and use what they need at the time to keep them on point, to keep them on level, to keep them up to par and moving along with the flow of the course. Kind of like you go on Netflix on demand and watch what you want to watch at the time, depending on how you feel or how much time you have. And then we know that the accommodations support inclusivity. And when we put those accommodations out there in the beginning before students get there and let them know, here's the accommodation package I have for you in the course, now it's unconditional inclusivity. The student doesn't have to wait to fail, doesn't have to wait to hit a roadblock. I am saying to you, listen, I want you to succeed and I'm going to prove it, because this one I'm going to do for you first. I'll put all this right here for you first, because I know you might have an issue with that or an issue with this or an issue with that. I'm not worried about that. I want you to learn the content. So let me put some tools there for you so you can keep pace, so you can be successful, so you can launch into the content and get what you're supposed to get out of this course. And then finally, as that happens, it helps us, of course, create a level of support for the student, because there's times you're going to need to reach out to them anyway and give them some of your flavor. That's why, that's the power of you that you get to give to your student that no one else can. Don't even get me talking about that, because that is priceless. That's priceless. You're priceless to your students, right? And here's what I love about the accommodation package and why it's a boon, because it creates a learning partnership between you, the instructor, and your students. And when that learning partnership, here's what it does. It gets them to know that it's need-based. So they're now not afraid to share they have a need. They can trust someone to share their need with, which is valuable. It is more than half the battle with potential students, especially from low-income arenas, right? And then, of course, we got the reduction in nudges. But here's our banes, right? We didn't find any difference in the behavior pattern. So although our incidents went down, our behavior pattern stayed basically the same. So we don't know root causes from the accommodations. We're addressing the illness the symptoms of the illness, but not necessarily the disease itself. So the thinking or the root cause. So that can be a problem and needs further research or further what I want to say, approaches to the research. And then here's limitations in my research. From what we've done, because we all work in a culture of care. That's the common. That's how we operate. So when they leave my course, they're going to go to Dr. Handy's course that has culture of care. So that's the norm here. So with my research, I cannot tell, I cannot infer rather to the permanency of the effects of the accommodations in a setting that is not, does not have culture of care as the norm. So if they leave UAGC and go to, I don't know, Pine Street University, and Pine Street University doesn't have culture of care, will that student still be able to be as successful and exhibit some of the behaviors that we've been showing and demonstrating through our accommodation package? So that is a limitation, and I'm already partnering with someone to see if we can try to meet that. And here we go. The last one that I want to mention to you is that because I did accommodations and accountability nudges together, I don't know which one actually lowered the incidence, right? And actually, I don't care. I want them to be together because there needs to be conversation in this as well. So as we wrap up and get out of here today, there's a call to action for you. And it's simply to adopt standardized accommodations in your course. And in doing that, self-reflect first. What are you adopting? What is in place? What are you offering? What's the rationale behind them? How are you handling? How do students perceive them? And how are you assessing their effectiveness? Are you just offering because someone said you have? You're never assessing the effectiveness so that you can change and adjust it and make it better? And then finally, put a system of accountability in place for yourself with the accommodations that you offer. Making sure you're offering them genuinely, making sure that you're growing with the accommodation and even seeing what may be needed in addition to what you're already offering. So again, this was a little different type presentation for me. I'm just going to kind of end it abruptly at this point. Accommodations in the spirit of the culture of care, Bane or Boon, I don't know. You decide, but definitely worth the work. So I'm Dr. Newt. Hopefully you grab some morsel to take with you to educate yourself, motivate yourself, and help yourself grow. And as usual, my friends, make it a great day or not, because that choice is always yours. I think I'm 45 seconds over, right?
Oh, you're good. You actually have a couple minutes, and there were a couple of questions in the chat that we can try and address real quick. So thanks for that. That was awesome. Love the energy. I know everybody's pumped up. I know I am, and that's cool. So one of the first questions in there that was back there for a ways was regarding the accountability nudges. So have you seen any differences in submissions in those who were sent emails versus phone calls?
So yes, the phone calls seem to have a better response. The phone calls, the student phone calls or the text interactions that go back because it's more personable, is my assumption why. And again, many of the students that would need the accountability nudges are probably students from oral culture. So if I'm sending that email, then it's more print culture for them. So it's that divide is still there. So I send them both. For the ones I did, I sent them both to individuals and pushed for some type of response.
Awesome. And then there was one more question. We'll see if we can squeeze it in. So how do you address accommodations that are more typical for a brick and mortar classroom?
So accommodations, again, the same things that I just ate to be great, they also work in a brick and mortar classroom. Accommodations are accommodations. How we adjust them depending on our learning environment, how we differentiate them according to learning environment or differentiated instruction has to do with physical limitations. but everyone that I just told you are applicable in a physical classroom and a online classroom. In fact, one of the university that we're partnering with to extend this research is a brick and mortar institution, a brick and mortar HBCU down south, and they are agreeing to do this in some of their courses. So we're going through the trainings or whatever with the instructors now to see if that can move a little further. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question or if I'm understanding it. So I kind of stopped.
Yeah, I think you hit it. It was one from the chat, so I hope so. So awesome, yeah, great stuff. You ended on time. You were cruising and you got there on that's high fives there. So thanks, Dr. Miller, again for all your comments. Thanks everybody for attending. I'll post in the chat. We'll see where, or maybe Dan can help me post that. It's not letting me post it. Where to go from now? You all seen the schedule. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the summit. Lots more good things to come. On behalf of the Department of Behavioral Sciences, thank you again for being here and have a great rest of your day.